What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So, we're making a video on arbitrations again today. This one's gonna be a lot more min-max than that video from like 6 months ago. And yeah, this is the best Kuva farm currently available in the game, I'd say by very far. If you compare the rates of like what you can get in an arbitration Kuva-wise versus like Steel Essence, it's basically over double the amount per hour, honestly. Steel Essence is really, really bad comparatively, but there's a catch here. These arbitration missions are random every hour, and there's plenty of arbitration missions I wouldn't recommend that you waste your time on. The ones I would recommend you waste your time on are some small maps, like the one you see on the screen right here. This one's pretty small, like a Europa defense map. Or if you get even luckier, the mission tile set of Hydron, like that really small asteroid base. You can do that for interception on Odin. Odin's like the best one, and there's like other ones too. So we're gonna go over a bunch of stuff today. Get ready, because there's builds for like 4 different frames with me explaining why I do these things, and also gonna have some weapon builds, some gear, some recommendations for you as far as like boosters and stuff like that. So yeah, get ready. There's gonna be timestamps down below if you want to like skip to like, oh, I want to see the Wisp build, I want to see that, I want to see this. And then we'll also be live tonight on stream for a long time. So if you want to watch some streams, go ahead and check the live stream channel. I do appreciate all the support, guys. And yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time here. Let's get into this. We're going to start off with what are we talking about here? Then we're going to strategy, then gear, and then the frame build, and then the outro, okay? So I actually made a structure for this for once. And yeah, the general gist of this is nuke everything as fast as possible. Spawn kill, maximum carnage, maximum death. You're trying to kill stuff as fast as possible, especially those arbitration drones. This whole entire setup is based around killing arbitration drones as fast as you can. Now, I'm in a public matchmaking mission right here, but even one person with these types of builds I'm showing in this video can basically carry an Arbi. These guys are in public matchmaking. I did about 70% of the damage and got most of the kills. And they're still picking up the essence, so they're technically getting value out of me being here and helping. And I'm also getting value out of them, because the more people in your mission, the more enemies will spawn, and then the more you can kill stuff. So that's the idea. All right, let's get into the relay. So I'm just going to show you what you can do with Vitus Essence if you are farming it really hard, like in this video. So you go over to the Arbiters of Hexus, and you talk to this guy. The way you unlock arbitration is to beat every mission in the game once, and then you take over your Vitus Essence that drops from these drone boys that you have to destroy. There's plenty of mods here that are good. Rolling Guards, good for endurance runs, etc., etc. There's Kuva here, 25 Vitus Essence per 10,000 Kuva cash. So with about 1,000 Vitus Essence, you get 400,000 Kuva. And during the double resource weekend, you can probably get that 1,000 Vitus Essence I have right there in like an hour and a half, if you have a good mission. There's other stuff here, like you can also buy galvanized mods and technically Grendel locator beacons. But yeah, the big thing here is Kuva. So just look at it as a Kuva farm. Every 25 you get is 10,000 Kuva. And, you technically could sell galvanized mods to people, but, I mean, those have been out for like 6 months, and who knows if people are still buying. They probably are still buying them. All right, so let's get into them. We're going to talk about lots of, context stuff about what's going to be good here. I've also got arbitration meta for dummies, too, if you don't have the attention span to watch this whole video. Okay, so big things here. These drops that these drones are giving us are affected by multiple types of boosters. We're talking about both the resource boosters do apply to this, because it is not a guaranteed drop. It is a chance to drop from these drones. So you want to make sure that at least one person on your squad has this blue resource drop chance booster. You also, yourself, if you already have someone on your team that has this blue chance booster, you want to have this orange booster. This will make it where instead of getting 1 Vitus per drop, you get 2. And then during the double resource weekend, that'll be 4 Vitus per drop, not taking any Smeeta cats into account. Additionally, if you have anyone on your team that is MR 30 or higher, you can go to a relay and you can give everyone a 3-hour resource drop chance buff. It's not a doubling buff, it's just like, I think it's 25%. But it does technically help you in the long run. If you are doing this, make sure you take your whole team to the relay, activate the booster, but then go back to orbit. If you launch the mission from the relay, it doesn't feel like the booster works all the time. So make sure you go back and reform squad in orbit, okay? Also, you might want to organize with people to like, hey, I'm going to go boost on the Earth relay number 2. Everyone go to Earth relay number 2, and you'll have double or increased resource drop chance. So that's one thing. You want to make sure that you have some good gear as far as boosters are concerned. Also, I know some people don't have an attention span, so we're going to already get this on the screen. Also, there's specific weapons that you are basically required to run here. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. If you're not running the Kuva Ogris with Nightwatch Napalm, get out of my squad. Get out of my squad. Leave your Zarr at home. This is not a mission. Well, at least this setup is not for the Zarr or for the Bramma. You can use them, but you are technically kind of just throwing because the Ogris is so overwhelmingly better for this because of the mod Nightwatch Napalm. What Nightwatch Napalm will do is once the Ogris rocket launcher explodes, or the rocket explodes rather, it will drop some fire on the ground. That fire can be buffed up. It does not crit, but you could do things like use Roar from Rhino, use Eclipse from Mirage. If you're playing Saryn, Toxic Lash, her third ability, is extremely powerful with the fire this thing drops out. Now, you're trying to just spam as hard as possible, and a frame that will help you with that is going to be Wisp. A high power strength Wisp with the speed mote, the green mote, is going to make it where you can fire off rockets really, really fast. Additionally, if you have a reload buff from something like Chroma with the Elemental Ward in Toxin will give you, with my build I'll show you, is 188% reload speed. And also, since there's a stack decay bug, I'm going to show you Fractalized Reset. But once the stack decay bug's gone, just use Primary Merciless, okay? So the big thing here is you're looking for small maps. So like Odin, Hydron, Hive, Sakura, blah, blah, blah. Even this one you see on the screen right now is fine enough to run. You want to run black energy color on your Ogris, because if you don't have black energy color on your Ogris, the fire will blind you near instantly. So, yeah, for arbitrations, they are different every hour. So, for example, we have Paimon on Europa for this hour. It will rotate in 28 minutes. I've also got Titania power strength bonus and Techo damage. That stuff's not important for us. The main thing is you're looking for, the frames I'm recommending in this video are going to be Wisp, Saryn, Mirage, and I don't remember the last one. But I'll remember by the time we get there, okay? Those frames are going to help buff a lot. And for example, I'm going to go to Europa, Paimon, decent enough tile, but the big ones you're looking for are ones that are dark sectors. So look at this right here. We're trying to increase our resource drop chance as much as we can. This mission has increased resource drop chance, and that will apply to the arbitration drones. So something like this is really good. Larzak. The gameplay footage we're going to show is going to be on a COD, which is going to be one of the best ones. Basically, infested are easy to kill. They have they just run towards you, and you can blow them up the rocket launcher from across the map. So this gameplay is a little bit fuzzy because I downloaded it from my stream, but it's pretty much we're showing meta gear here. You want to buff that rocket launcher so much that just tickling. Enemy even like remotely putting their toe in the fire will completely evaporate their entire family line. So that's the idea here. And yeah, let's get into it. So as far as frames, the fourth frame was Wisp, Chroma, Saryn, and Mirage. I'm going to tell you replacement frames as well, but let's start off with just showing the Ogris build, because this is something you can definitely. It's flexible. It's not like you have to run this exact build I'm showing you right here. But something along the lines of this will be what you're trying to go for. So we're looking for small maps. We want to cover the entire map in depth as often as possible. Basically, like spawn kill everything. So we've got Toxin, Kuva Ogris, 60%. You don't have to get 60%, but ideally you would. And then we got a lot on here. So we got Prime Shred to shoot through walls. Since we're trying to spawn kill stuff, shooting through a wall with Prime Shred is better than it sounds. For example, like if an enemy is, let's say we have the Hydron Arbi, and it's like, okay, well, and here's some gameplay footage of me with the Prime Shred right here. I shoot through this wall, I'm killing enemies I don't even know exist, and the designers of this game make these walls in the way so that it can technically stop how fast you're killing things. We're bypassing that design decision by shooting through the wall and killing enemies that we can't even see them. Like, we literally, who knows what type of enemies these are? They're just dead. So that's why we're running punch through, because yeah, it might ruin some things in like certain situations, but if an enemy's right in your face, just shoot your Ogris at the floor, and the punch through is not going to go that far, and it will blow up right in the enemy's face, and you will save yourself. So yeah, that's why we run punch through, just because you can shoot through walls and doors. Everything else is up to personal preference. For example, Vigilante Armaments, you could just put some more reload speed in there. We're going to usually be having a lot of reload speed from like Fractalized Reset, which is, like I said, only going to be used until the stack decay bug's gone. That's 240% reload speed right there. Reload speed has very major diminishing returns, so that's why I'm not running it there since we got Fractalized Reset. Additionally, we've got Chroma for 188% increased reload speed after that, so it's a lot. We don't really need all this, but what we do really need is Prime Firestorm, increasing the blast radius of rocket launchers and exploding things like that. This also does influence how big the AoE of the Nightwatch Napalm Fire is, so definitely, if you don't have this mod, you're a lot weaker than people that do have it. Let's just put it like that. Nightwatch Napalm, the entire crux of the build. And Heavy Caliber. I've had people ask me, why do you use Heavy Caliber over Serration? It's because of that minus accuracy. This will spread our rockets out more, and we can cover more of the map with our Fire Death, which is the entire purpose of what we're doing here. So, this thing does so much damage with all the buffs we're doing, we don't need to, like, hit every rocket precisely. We're not going for headshot, is what I'm trying to say. So, spread out the fire, kill more enemies, get more Vitus Essence. And then the rest, we got Stormbringer to give us corrosive damage, pretty good against most enemy types. And then we got, just multi-shot and things of that nature. Bane mod's very helpful and important here, as, if you're fighting the Infested, run Bane of the Infested. If you're running against Grineer, do the Bane of the Grineer, etc., etc. But yeah, if you don't have all these, you could just run the normal version, I suppose. And that will be pretty good. So, that's the weapon build. And then let's go into... Let's actually go into, do we want to do that's the first frame build. I think we've got enough context. Actually, no. We're going to show the Smeeta build. So for the Smeeta Cavat, basically everyone should, before we get into that, Furax. Furax Wraith and Furax Normal. All you need is Amalgam Furax body count. This is going to make your Prime Firestorm get even more AoE. As you can see right here, blast radius increased on specialized launchers. You can use the normal Furax, guys. Just buy it with credits. Who even cares? I'm not going to judge you. You're not going to even be using this weapon. Mark 1 Furax, this will work. Increased blast radius. It might look stupid, but it's going to be helping, so you should probably rock it. Okay, so as far as Smeeta Build, you want to just, you want to have Charm. That's pretty much all it is. Since we have a Wisp with such high power strength, the Smeeta will be very tanky and hopefully not die. It's very unlikely your Smeeta will die here, but yeah, if it does die, you can't revive it, so that's kind of sad, actually. But as far as the Smeeta Build, we got Charm, giving you that 28% chance to get a buff every 27 seconds. One of those is the really long affinity buff, which gives you double XP, gives you double whatever. Whatever you get, you're getting double of it. The rest of this stuff, it's up to you. This video's already taken a lot longer than I wanted it to, so we're gonna start moving on here. Yeah, basically just spam the Ogris as hard as possible. Let's get into the first frame build. And we'll also go over some focus stuff. Basically, I'd recommend Matter Eye because it just gives you more power, strength, and more damage. Someone on your team should have Vazarin because Vazarin is going to make it where you can dash through the Arbitration guy and make him invincible. If the Arbitration guy dies, you lose. You don't want to lose. Trust me, I've died on Wave 99, like the last enemy of Wave 99, and the entire mission fails. You don't want that to happen. Trust me, it was really bad. All right, so let's get into the Wisp build here. We've got really, really, really high power strength Wisp. I usually don't mod this much power strength on Wisp, but for this, it makes sense. So what you want to do here is strength, 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 a little bit of range just because we have narrow-minded maxed out, which gives us massively reduced range. So we got stretch in here so we can actually use our roar, because we got roar helmet subsumed on here. As long as our allies are within 20 meters, they're going to get hit by roar and get 100% increased damage before other buffs are taken into account. So yeah. And as far as aura mod, enemy radar is nice to see enemies through walls, but I know some teams like to do 3 or 4 power donation of all things. So the way this works is you lose 30% strength, but your teammates get increased 30% strength. So think about it. If you have multiple teammates running this, it's going to you're going to net extra power strength, and no one's going to be in the negative. So that's pretty cool. Run 3 of those. Everyone's getting extra strength. It's not doing much else besides that, but we're jamming so much strength that it makes sense. But I'm not really doing that right now. This is not a shield getting set up at all. As you can see, no defensive mods. And as far as arcanes, oh, by the way, if you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, yikes. You'll have to find some way to not get knocked over. I think there's an Ancient Healer Spectre that can make you not get knocked over, so maybe try that. But yeah, the new Arcane Molt Augmented is basically best in slot for every frame in this mission. Every kill gives you increased power strength up to 250 times. You're going to get 250 kills near instantly. So that's another 60% power strength on top of all of our other stuff. Our Wisp motes are going to give us 1,000 extra health and 101 health regen per second. Our speed mote will give 100% fire rate and a 67% speed multiplier. And don't even bother with the shock mode because you're gonna kill the enemy so fast that shocking them is not a big deal. The other abilities don't really matter. If you're proccing Fractalized Reset, you might need to double tap your Will-O-Wisp just to get that resource or that ability proc off to just get increased reload speed. And Breach Surge is really not used at all in this setup. So that's going to be it for Wisp. As far as the other Arcane, this is up to you. Since there's a stack decay bug right now, I was running Arcane Rage just to try it out, giving you increased damage for primaries on headshot. And the Ogris actually gets headshot. We're not aiming for headshots, but it gives you headshots all the time. So it worked out. Other ones, of course, there's always Arcane Energized. You could get like a speed-focused Arcane or something like that. It's really up to you what you have. And Arcane Rage was pretty good. Like you can definitely solo carry an Arbi in a full public squad with that build. Moving on to the next frame. Oh, by the way, if somehow your team, I'm recommending you do this as a full team. If no one has Wisp, what? How'd you get this? You're watching this video not having Wisp? Dang, dude. I guess you could run Oberon instead. Since Oberon has healing, Oberon can use Smite for Smite Infusion to give weapon buffing. But man, Oberon is a massive downgrade to Wisp for the most part. So I definitely would recommend running Wisp over Oberon for many reasons, not just the fire rate. So we're moving on to the second frame build here. We've got, let's go over Chroma next. Now, the thing about Chroma is he's definitely not essential, but he actually is pretty convenient for what he is allowing you to utilize here. So I don't have any gameplay footage of Chroma, but trust me, this build will work. So the idea of Chroma is that we want to, unlike the other people who might be running other arcanes or other aura mods, we want combat discipline. We will take 10 damage on killing an enemy, and our allies will get healed by 20 on kill. So the way that Chroma's Vex Armor ability works is that you need to damage, your health needs to be damaged to give you an increased damage buff. Once you get that damage buff, you can just keep recasting not to get damage to your health anymore. So since shield getting makes it kind of hard to get damaged by enemies, and also enemies can deal a lot of damage in some cases and just insta-kill you before you can get the buff. Combat discipline, 10 damage per kill, you're going to get that buff pretty easily. And since you have such a high power strength Wisp, who cares if you're losing health? You're going to be getting healed by 100 plus per second. So don't kill more than 10 enemies per shot, and I think you'll be fine. But that's it with the Vex Armor. The rest of the stuff is actually more important than the Vex Armor, for the most part. Also, this will buff your teammates too, so just like the Wisp build, put a little bit of range in here so you don't have to be like right on top of them. 14 meter radius with this build. But the big thing here, and now this is actually Chroma's Helmet ability, so other frames can technically do this too. We've got Elemental Ward. Depending which color your energy is, it will give you different types of effects. So for example, with Toxin, the one that we're using in this build, it will give us reload speed. And with the more duration you have, the more reload speed it gives for some reason. So the build is really big on duration and strength. It's very similar to the Wisp build, honestly. I put Prime Flow in here just because it's kind of hard to cast abilities sometimes. And we have Umbra Vitality because I put 2 Umbra Formas on Chroma, and I am definitely not taking that off. So, yeah. Not technically not 100% ideal, but here's something that's really nice too. And if you have the Helmet ability in other frames, you can technically do this as well. Elemental Ward Augment. Allies that leave the radius of Elemental Ward will retain 100% of the remaining duration. That's going to be your reload speed buff. If one of your allies gets near you, they will hold on to that buff until the end of the duration, which the duration is 63 seconds of this build. So big reload speed buff, more Ogris spam. That's what you want. You want to spam the Ogris as hard as possible. Since we're running Combat Discipline, you can run Avenger for increased crit chance. You could even run Energized since Chroma has a energy issue sometimes. And I've actually gone with Helminth Dispensary from Protea. This will actually help you and your teammates sustain energy, sustain ammo and all that very easily. You plop this down. The more power strength you have, the higher chance to give extra pickups it has. With Molt Augmented, it's about an 88% chance for extra pickups. Pretty good. Now, if you do have someone running Dispensary in your team, you could actually run this mod right here, Energy Conversion. Picking an Energy Orb gives you 50% more ability strength the next cast. This is way too try-hard, honestly, but it technically could work if you are running Dispensary, which I would recommend Dispensary on Chroma, just because, like I said, energy issues real bad. But yeah, Chroma is good. The only reason he's not as good as you would hope is because like other frames can do what he's doing because the reload buff is subsumable. All right, moving on to Mirage, another frame that is really, really good here. Oh, by the way, like I already gave replacements to Chroma. Any frame that has Elemental Ward subsumed can pretty much replace Chroma. It's just nice because, you know, having that reload buff and having the Vex Armor buff is pretty much like 2 things in one right there. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Oh, by the way, if I didn't mention this earlier, you better put black energy color on your Ogris. I actually don't remember if I mentioned this. This is very, very important because if you don't want to blind people or yourself, definitely have that. It will make the fire not blinding. I feel like I did mention that, but it's so important I need to make sure I mention it again. All right, moving on to the next frame, we got Mirage. A lot of these builds are going to look really similar, guys, because you're just trying to jam as much power strength as possible. The more damage you do, the more likely you are to spawn kill that drone, which is the entire purpose of this video. The entire purpose of getting all that Kuva is spawn kill that drone. All right, Mirage. Now, I don't really have an Umbra Mirage build like the other frames. I have Umbra builds on everyone else, but this will definitely work too. So the big thing here is that we're spamming the Ogris. You know who's really good at spamming the Ogris? Mirage, because you get multiple Ogrises. Additionally, we've got Energized Munitions from the helmet system. This will let you spam your rocket launcher even longer. So this helmet can be used on basically anyone, but you want to make sure you cover all your bases, because weapon buffing is very important. Spamming is also very important, but you have to find a happy middle ground between spamming and all this power strength buffing. So I went with Energized on Mirage. You could definitely go with something else if you want even more damage. Things like Thermal Thunder from Gauss has that new augment mod to give big increased elemental damage. Elemental damage increases do work on Nightwatch Napalm. But yeah, the big thing here is Eclipse and Hall of Mirrors. Anything else is, like, we're not using her 4. We're not using her exploding, crystal ability. We're just using weapon buffing here. And also we got Total Eclipse. So allies that get nearby us will also get the benefits of Eclipse. Really, really big damage here. If you do all this stuff together, guys, you're going to have no problem at all. Just keep spamming, and the mission is over, basically. Just be careful that the Arbitration defense target guy doesn't run into, like, an infested puddle. So, yeah, everything here is strength, a little bit of duration. I actually went at the lower rank Narrow-Minded because the range on Total Eclipse is pretty bad, actually. So with this, with Stretch and a rank 8 Narrow-Minded, we're at 13.65 radius. With a maxed out Narrow-Minded, it's 11.85 for, like, a little bit more duration. I just thought that was better, but it's really up to you. Amar's Hatred is another power strength mod. If you don't... the reason Amar's Hatred is on here is because I have normal builds, too. This is a Arbitration build, but, like, for a normal build, it's like, oh, I want Rolling Guard. You don't need Rolling Guard for this, though. So that's why I've got Amar's Hatred. Technically, I could put Transient Fortitude there, but I ain't formatting for that, because I want a normal Mirage, but after this is all said and done. So, yeah, same thing, Ogris on her, Ogris on everybody, duh. And then multi-augmented, energized, whatever. Like, honestly, whatever. You have so much buffing, damage arcanes aren't going to really matter at all. So, me running Rage or whatever it's called, Fury on Wisp, was technically just diminishing returns a lot. Now, let's go to the queen of the arbitrations, or one of the queens of the arbitration. We've got the Master of Death, Saryn. As you see on the screen right here, you just walk around and enemies die. Like, that was an Xmas right there, hardly even noticed it. Saryn is crazy, and her 3 does work on arbitration drones, for the most part. So, also, as far as replacements for Mirage, I didn't really go over any of those. It's whatever. You could really replace Mirage with a lot of stuff, but I would recommend that you have Total Eclipse on one of your teammates somewhere. The frame that is not replaceable is Saryn, because of her 3rd ability, working on the drones and the Kuva Ogris really well. She's going to be your main DPS source, I guess I'd call it. So the helmet ability I've got here is Nourish. That is from Grendel. If you don't have Nourish from Grendel, it's okay. Don't worry about it. There's plenty of other options, but yeah, this is what you can do. So, as you can see, lots and lots of power strength, some more duration. Not as much range on this one because I haven't gone, like, we haven't gone as into duration because I want to actually have a slot for Venom Dose. What Venom Dose will do is you will buff yourself and teammates with increased corrosive damage, scaling with strength. So, my Ogris and everyone else's Ogris gets a 322% increase in corrosive damage. And also, Toxic Lash, 96% increase of toxin damage, and it will make toxin procs. This is crazy. This is crazy damage, and we took off her 4 because this is a weapon-focused build. So, yeah, as far as what's going on here, buffing. Buffing is what's going on here. And augmented, like everyone else, getting that 60% increased strength, just nuke them all down. So yeah, you want to just basically spawn camp the enemies. If you have played this game a lot and you know, like, where the enemies spawn at, you're gonna do great here. If you are, like, more of a newer player, like a mid-game player, you don't know where these spawns are by heart, or if you're just not in organized squads. Like, I don't really have people I play this game with. I just kind of, like, hop in public matchmaking. Like I said earlier, you can use these builds in public matchmaking if you have good gear, and you can carry. It's not gonna be as good if you were like like this squad right here. Like everyone in this squad is basically using builds shown in this video. And at the end of this, we got about 300 Vitus Essence, which, you know, that's a good amount. That's like 120k Kuva in like under an hour. If you are doing these defense Arbis, they get really dangerous to the operative, like around like wave like 80 or 90. So I definitely recommend like extracting at like wave 100 at the latest. If you are really confident in your skills, you can go higher than that. If you're going that late, this video is not really for you because you already know what you're doing. But yeah, Vazarin Dash will be your friend. Limbo Banish Subsume, if you can actually properly use that. Just make sure you don't banish an enemy on accident too, because they'll be in the rift with that operative and probably kill him. So yeah, and I think I showed an Ogris build. But the general gist of this is Saryn's not replaceable, Wisp basically isn't replaceable, and yeah, Arbi's for dummies. Let's just go over this one more time before we call it a video. So, big things here. Ogris meta. Ogris meta. If you come in here with a Zarr or a Bramma, you are throwing and you're going to be like, my Zarr does more damage. It doesn't matter how much damage you're doing. It matters the quality, the application of this damage. If your Zarr is going to get like a red crit and like do like 1 million damage, it doesn't matter when the drones have shield gating, and it's literally not going to matter, dude. The fire's on the ground already killing them. That's what matters here, okay? Just take your Zarr and Bramma and just go use it in like Steel Path instead of this. So moving on, we've got a build for the Ogris. You don't really even need to, if you have someone on your team using Nourish from Grendel, the way that works is that it's a toxin mod for everyone's gun. So you technically don't even need elemental mod on your gun. You could maybe put like a magazine size mod there. And magazine size really helps Energized Munitions, because the more rockets in your magazine you have, the more that 75% roll is going to hit, and you can just spam rockets really, really hard. So yeah, moving on. So weapon buffing is going to be your best friend here. If you are organizing a squad for this, like in squad chat or like in Discord or whatever you're doing, or like talk to your teammates, like, yo, I've got Roar on my Wisp right now. Does anyone have Total Eclipse? We've got Total Eclipse covered. And then like someone will be like, oh, I got Total Eclipse. Like, oh, perfect. Okay, so we got more buffing. The more buffing you have, the more consistently you'll be spawn killing these drones, guys. Also, that punch through is going to be really helpful. If you don't have Prime Shred, you might want to run, what's it called? Metal Auger, which gives you 2.1 punch through. The fire rate from Prime Shred's really not as important as the punch through. So normal Shred will not really be what you want to rock. Metal Auger has more punch through than normal Shred by like a good 0.9 meters, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is. So yeah, buff, spam, resource booster, black energy colors, you don't blind your teammates and yourself. And then like reload buff from somewhere. That does, that kind of ties into the spam nature of this. You want to fire as fast as possible, you want to reload as fast as possible, and you also want to pick up loot as fast as possible. Because there is actually a loot drop amount that could be on the map in this game. So I definitely recommend, like, pick up the Vitus Essence like every wave or two. Every two might be a little bit dangerous, so maybe every wave would be a better idea. But yeah, as you can see in the gameplay footage, I mean, like, we are tearing open the map. These are the infested, and this is a small tile. If you get Odin, like if you watch my, honestly, if you want an Odin farming guide, go watch my Odin Steel Essence guide from like 2 years ago. It's the exact same strat in there, but instead of Korra, you're using the Kuva Ogris. So let's just quickly show before we call it a video here, what you can do with Energized Munitions. Like I was talking, okay, well you want magazine size. This is Mirage with Energized Munitions and a 3-round magazine Ogris. And we've got black energy color just so I don't blind myself, as I've mentioned 100 times already. So I use 3-round magazine without the ability. Now I cast the ability, and we can spam. See, the magazine's not going down. That's what you can do with Energized Munitions. So anyone can do that. It's gonna come down to, like, do you already have enough buffing in your team where you don't need Mirage to run like Smite Infusion or Roar or like whatever you end up running. That's going to be up to, whatever situation you are arriving in. And yeah, overall, I'd say this is going to be really good. There's plenty of Arbis I wouldn't run. So for example, let's say like the worst Arbi possible, that new Corpus gigantic defense tile set. Don't do any missions there, dude. It's the worst tile set ever. Don't do an arbitration there. But let's say, a small map came up. It's like, okay, look, this one is Hythe. It's the Deimos Infested Defense. That one I definitely would consider a small map that you can cover most of the area with in fire. It's pretty metal like that. You just cover the map in fire, but that is actually the effective tactic here. And there's a couple things I haven't really mentioned, like such as like Nidus Specters giving you more power strength. If you use the things in this video, you're gonna have enough power strength. You don't need to like waste your time making Nidus Specters at all. And like other things like that, where it's like, I could tell you every little thing, but I don't even do every little thing, so why would I bother? You're mostly just going to want to be looking for small maps. And one big thing actually, if you are trying to hunt down a small map, there are certain tile sets and certain missions that actually have 3 different types of missions that can, or different tiles that can spawn. So for example, Secura on Pluto. This one has 3 different missions that can spawn, like different mission rooms. One of them is really tiny, the other 2 are a lot bigger. So you're going to want to go here, and you're going to want to fish for the good one. So for example, I think this is the small one. This is the medium-sized one. So this one's okay, but if I go to orbit and reload this mission, there is a high likelihood that this mission will be in a different room. And that room, the small one, you will see, you'll be like, whoa. Yeah, you can cover that entire mission in fire, like, constantly. And you will walk away. The reason I'm recommending small missions, you want to spawn kill these guys. If you're spawn killing them, you're getting technically more resources than if you were not spawn killing them. So for example, survival Arbis are pretty bad. Like you could just compare it yourself. I did like a 20-minute solo survival Arbi the other day, and I got like hardly any Vitus. Here's a small map. See, I literally just said it. This map right here, this is one of the best Arbis in the world, or in the game. So you just stand right there, or like stand right there, and then you can cover the entire map in nuke from over here. See, like this is like what you want to go for. Cover those areas in fire. When the enemies spawn, they're on fire and dead. Rinse and repeat. That wave is basically just over from what I did right there. Next wave. Keep spamming. Go pick up the Vitus, and then go back and then keep spamming. Make sure you get rebuffed by your teammates, like Chroma or whatever. And yeah, rinse and repeat. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope it was helpful. And yeah, much appreciated all the support lately, guys. Take it easy. Peace.